Hello again, and this is part 3 of the Celebrify tutorial series, and this time I'm going to show you some editing, the kind of editing that's needed when you deal with real-world pictures which aren't always what you want them to be. So I'm going to start with a picture. It's just one of those bad luck pictures where the analysis has tried very hard. You can see the eyes, the nose and the mouth are correct, but it's just got the jawline is completely wrong, and the hairline is, well, I won't say wrong because hair is a complex subject and there are no rights and wrongs there. So the first thing we need to do before we try and go further with this is to fix the edit points. And to do that, I'm going to the drop down menu and I'm going to select Edit Subject Mesh. And in this mode, ignore that message. In this mode, we are now able to move and manually change the position of the landmarks, which are indicated by these little yellow dots. Now, I'm working with the desktop version, but basically the principles are the same on a device. When you want to edit a particular landmark, you select it, you can just touch it. And then over here you can see we have a D-pad which enables us to hop from point to point. Once we have chosen the point, we can go to the next mode, which is to do a fairly coarse adjustment. And then the final one is a fine adjustment. And then the last step saves it. And now we can move on to the next point. So this process, it takes a little while, particularly on this one where we have to fix every single point of the jaw. So I'm going to cut to one I've completed earlier in the best fashion of demos. But here I need to do something about the hairline. And there is no way of really predicting how it's going to work without trying it. If the hair of the target is the same color as the hair of the subject, then things tend to work much more reliably. But if you have a brunette and blonde, then you just have to try it. And remember, the objective here is that each of these points has to be matched on both the subject and the target. So it usually means you've got to go back and forth a few times. Check particularly that the pupils of the eyes are centered, because the gaze is very important. Here we have a bit of a touch-up on the eyebrows, and here we have a touch-up of the lower lip. So this is all good fun. Doesn't take very long. And importantly, when you've done all that, you want to save your data. You notice this button is now Save Metadata, which is the posh word we use for the data that represents the mesh. So I'll save that, and this creates a template file. So this file is now stored on your device, and whenever you load this image again in the future, it will by default load your manually created template instead of doing the processing all over again. So it's looking after your interests there. Okay, so now let's try and see what happens. We're going to go back to the morph, and we just have to give it a kick. And remember, the first attempt is the default average face. And because of all the stuff that's going on under the hood, it takes a few passes to get going. But you can see it starts to update, and when you make major changes like I've just done, it's quite difficult. Sometimes you're writing on areas of the screen which don't get refreshed. So in general, after a serious editing, it's probably worthwhile just loading the image again. Template file found and loaded, and now you can see that things are looking a lot more reasonable. Turn on the mesh, and you can see for some reason I must have missed a point here. So we can quickly go back, subject mesh, and touch that point up, save the metadata again, and go back to the morph, and just a couple of updates, and it's there. So we're now working with the average face, and let's just have a quick look what we've got. Take the eyes and the mouth, and it's looking pretty good. But what we really want to do is go back to morphing with a target, and in the basic version the targets are only a few, so let's cancel out of that and go to the store and get something a bit more interesting. And I'm going to select some singers. So we purchased, this of course is happening on the desktop, but the purchase happened, and now when we look at the target, we've got those 5 singers added. And I'm going to select Rita Ora, who's a British singer, and now we instantly see some dramatic morphing, and before and after. It usually pays to back off just a little, not too aggressive. And that's it. So you can, at any time, you can look at the mesh, and you can see that in this area, for example, we could probably make a few improvements, but not bad. And I'll save that image for the results folder. Job done.